Welcome to the Elevated Trader Podcast. I am Dr. Kristin Kidgel.
And I am Tracy Ball. Join us every week as we journey into becoming better traders.
We believe becoming better traders involves elevating our skill, our mindset, and our health. In each episode, we will discuss the current book we are exploring, and we invite you to join us on this journey.
Are you ready to elevate your trading, mindset, and health to the next level? Let's do this.
Welcome to part 9 of Money Grows on Trees by Jerremy Alexander Newsome. How about I jump in real quick and go through a couple highlights. Money is not that important. If you were thinking that, saying that, you're lying to yourself. It's super important. And he goes into some examples and explains it really well. And if you're struggling with that, jump in and figure out a way to change that, because money is extremely important. Currency is important. So again, money into currency, your value, your skills, what are you bringing to this world? You know, what are you passionate about? It's important. It's important. It is important.
And you are money and you are important.
I love it. I love it. 124, don't put all your eggs in one basket. He goes around different examples for quite some time about what's risky, what's not, and to really wrap your head around where you put your money. Is it really a risk or is it an investment? Can you get more eggs? Just get more chickens. So
let's talk about this for a little bit more. Okay. And the reason that I want to talk about this more is again, I listen to podcasts all the time and I'm reading all the time and I'm doing all sorts of stuff. And lately I have heard, people talk about plan B and how plan B takes away from plan A. And this kind of falls in the same area as don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't put all your eggs in one basket really comes from a safety net of diversification. It's a safety net that says, I don't trust this or I don't trust that. But in reality, I should say, it takes your focus away from one specific thing. And if you want to invest in something, truly invest in something, you need to put all your eggs in one basket. You need to put it all on the table and you need to dive in and go for the gusto. And that's where you're going to put in you're going to do your most research. Everything is going to come to fruition at that point because you're going to give it your all to make sure that this doesn't fail, because everything's at risk. You have no plan B, right? That's the way that I'm looking at it. The whole don't put your eggs in one basket are people that are saying, play it safe, play it safe, play it safe.
Yeah. Got to get comfortable with some risk.
Yes.
But you got to be intelligent with your risk.
Yes.
And this book will really help you figure out the balance between those things, because the next thing he talks about is debt. But debt isn't necessarily bad in that there are many people that teach you that it is bad. And then there are the other opposite multi-millionaires and billionaires that will be like, well, that can be okay. So he gives an example of where people, they have money, but they're not where they're putting it, or where they should be saving it, like a HELOC and things like that. I don't even know if you guys have those there. That's more. Do. Oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah. But that's also an important concept, because even dealing with debt, let's say that you have a certain amount of money that you want to invest, but you also have debt. Or actually, I'm going to use an example from when I bought my first truck. I had enough money to pay cash for my truck, but the investments that I currently had that my money was in was making, say, 4% interest. And I had the ability to buy a truck at 1.9% interest. So my question is, does it make more sense from a financial perspective to keep my money making the 4% interest and go into debt by borrowing the money at a 1.9% interest? I'm in a plus at that point. I'm making more money by doing that, by going into debt, but I'm making 2.1% interest.
Super smart. Yeah. Analyzing the situation.
Exactly. And it comes back to even the way that I analyze time is money, right? Determining whether or not something is worth my time versus paying somebody else to do it. It's that whole balance. It's always looking at the currency at hand and where's that balance? And if the balance is in your favor, then it makes sense. If the balance isn't in your favor, then it doesn't. It doesn't make sense if you are at a net zero, making no money, to go into debt. That's a deficit. But if you have assets and debt and you can keep your liabilities above your assets above your liabilities, then you're in a net positive.
Yeah. I mean, cars. And then he uses an example of a bed. Mm-hmm. Beds aren't cheap, and it's really important to get a good night's sleep. But he also very quickly makes sure that, okay, well, ask yourself every time you go to make a purchase of something, is this going to bring me money? Well, okay, let's change the word. Is this going to bring me currency? Well, is this going to bring me, to me, I don't think it's said here, but to me, is this going to bring me value?
Yes, agreed.
So purchasing this bed, yeah, a couple $1,000s. But you know what? I need that good night's sleep. Yeah. You ever slept on a couch? To me, I actually talk about this at work all the time because I always say couches are not our friends. They make you slouch. They make you hurt. I don't care if you spend $150 on a couch and you're like, this couch feels great. And I've sat on couches that are worth thousands and be like, this is a ridiculous waste of money. This was so expensive and it's so uncomfortable. So it's all relative, right? So he's like a car, a boat, a house, a coffee table, a TV. Okay, well, if your TV's blown up because you have visual problems or something, and you're just, it is really important to ask that question, I feel, each time.
I agree. And I love it. And I think, it's one of the things that we teach our kids all the time is it a gotta have?
Oh, I like that.
And that gotta have needs to be valued as, is it bringing value? Is this going to change your life? Is this going to bring meaning? Is this going to have some type of an effect on you, or is it just a purchase to make a purchase? So I love it.
Yeah, I love it too. Very cool. Yeah. I do think it's important that he just wants to make sure that it's clear that we're carving paths in our minds and cleaning out. And so I'm envisioning digging these, roots up, some of these negative beliefs, these false beliefs, whatever sayings and thoughts, the stuff that is a lot of mindset stuff. The doubt that always tries to creep in needs to be pushed out, and it's going to show up. And I'm almost positive that it doesn't matter, if you've been doing something really good for 25 years, that those occasional doubts sneak in every once in a while. But probably for those of us that are on these journeys, maybe they're there often. And so it is really identifying them and pushing them out. And then he just wants to make sure also that repeating to ourselves each day that money does grow on trees, and to repeat how much you love money. I know there's something around that I think you want to talk about.
There is. And I want to say that, first of all, this entire book is about your relationship with money. That's really what it is. So you can say that it's called Money Grows on Trees, but it's really, it's your relationship with money.
Between your ears.
And yeah, exactly. And I love money, and money loves me. And that's what I'm taking from this book. That's the saying in this book that I love. I love money and money loves me. Now, I think this is extremely important. I remember most of my life feeling and believing that money was important, but I spent most of my life with the rest of the society trying to convince me, either directly or indirectly, that money wasn't important. I've had this battle inside my brain going on all the time, thinking, no, money is important. I know that it's important, but meanwhile, society's telling me it's not important. And then me thinking that I need to change because I need to fit whatever society is trying to tell me. Now, I love the analogy of a physical relationship with money.
Ooh, me too.
I really do. And how money would feel if I told it wasn't important. I think that was my biggest takeaway from this chapter.
So on page 141, I just really love that he just went there. He's like, money wants to be loved. It wants to be cared for, protected, and it also wants to grow. It doesn't want to be spent on frivolous things. Which, by the way, you have to define what those frivolous things are, right? Money yearns to be spent on items, trips, vacations, journeys, memories, and experiences that make your life better. A lot of people do not spend, this is me, I feel people don't spend enough money on self-development and improvement, because I have to think over the last couple decades, the things that I've spent the most, spent money on myself, game changers. You don't come back the same. When you don't come back the same and you come back better, and more purpose driven and things like that, it was worth it. It was so worth it. So
moving further down to my point I referenced earlier, okay? Loving something to the extent of excluding everything or everyone crosses the line of healthy to obsession.
Okay.
An obsession is unhealthy and unhelpful. To me, loving money it's only unhealthy if it's an obsession. If that's your only focus is money. But I'm capable of loving money to the fullest extent and having a healthy relationship with it where it's not not obsessive, right?
Yeah. I mean, we see it with parenting, right? We love our children, or are we obsessed? You know, we love our dogs. Yes. We love our cats, or is an obsession. There are lines that can be crossed.
Exactly. And I think that's the difference. I don't want to have an obsession of money. I want to love money. And that's a healthy relationship. Just like I don't want to have an obsession towards a human being, right? If you want to equate this with a human relationship, I don't want to have an obsession with a human. Then I'm a stalker. I'm a whatever it might be, right? I don't want to be that. I want to have a healthy, loving relationship with money, right? And I want money to love me back.
Yeah, I love it.
Recognizing that loving something, respecting something does not equal obsession. In fact, you can't even love too much. It's not the presence of love that defines obsession, but rather the absence of everything else that does.
So good.
Love is not limited, but it can be directed, funneled, focused. And that's when it becomes unhealthy, when it becomes funneled, focused, pinpointed, and directed into one thing, excluding all others. Then it becomes obsession. I love money. And money loves me.
I love it. Did you write that?
I did.
Dang, girl. Is that like a poem?
No. Just my journal.
By the way, that needs to be a poem.
Really?
Oh, yeah. So one of the things, if not one of the top, probably two big things, and I'm going to finish with this because your poem was badass. Love it. Love this book. I love Jerremy Alexander Newsome. I love you, Tracy Ball. And I love money. I do. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I won't tell anybody.
Look at all the things you love and you're not obsessed.
Not obsessed.
Healthy. It's a healthy love.
It's going to get better.
Yeah.
It's going to get more focus thanks to this book and this podcast.
Well, Kristin, I think this was a really valuable book. I think it was great. Let's just put it this way, because I do want to end with one more thought. This book has been amazing. And one of the big takeaways that's going to make us better traders, because we are the elevated traders.
Yes, we are.
Is that our relationship to money defines our ability to reach success financially and in the stock market. And being able to go through this process of evaluating our relationship is going to hopefully improve our relationship with money, which will eventually, it's going to tie into a whole bunch of issues that you deal with as a trader.
And as a human.
Yes. Okay. So as a human first, but also as a trader, because like I said, we're elevated traders. So let's bring this back into our trading.
Okay.
And how can we improve our trading? And that is through improving our relationship with money. It will dictate our actions.
I can already feel it. I can already see it and feel it personally.
That's awesome.
Okay, cool.
For all you listeners out there, I would love to hear, and I'm sure Kristin would love to hear, what your experience has been with this book. Also, what your relationship is with money. I'd love to hear your stories. We'd also love to hear some of the sayings that you have heard that have defined your relationship with money that maybe you're reevaluating right now. So check us out on our website. We'd love to hear from you. Head out, get the next book, Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. That's what we're starting with next.
Looking forward to it. Let's do it. For more information to find the author, at Instagram, he's at Jerremy Newsome. On Twitter, he's at Newsome Nuggets. Love that. YouTube, Jerremy Newsome Enriches Lives. He's got retreats that he has on a website, www.treesaremoney.com, and another website, www.jerremynewsome.com. Thank you for joining us today. For more information about the show, as well as our list of current reads, check us out at www.theelevatedtrader.com.
Remember to subscribe and share if you found value in today's episode. See you next week.